Hey everyone, continuing Chicago week. I'm going to look at the Cubs of the MLB. They currently play in the NL Central. Other teams in the Central, you got the Cardinals, Pirates, Brewers, and Reds. So it's a pretty competitive division. They rounded up last in their division last year. The one record that the Cubs hold, which no professional sports team wants to, is they're the longest team in any of the big four sports. So that includes the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, and the MLB. They're the longest reigning teams. Do not win the championship in their respective league. It's been over 100 years since they've won the World Series. So that's clearly not a record any team wants to have or a streak that any team wants to be on. So hopefully with some of the offseason acquisitions they've made, their new GM and Joe Madden now being their manager, who was the manager for the Rays for numerous years. The Rays obviously were a team that struggled for many seasons, got a lot of high draft picks, and turned those draft picks into now star players. And then they were making a lot of playoff appearances. So hopefully the Cubs can now start to see that happening with a lot of tough years, a lot of rough seasons. They obviously had a lot of high draft picks as well. Hopefully that'll turn into two players that can blossom for them and they can make some playoff pushes. And in a division that I feel was pretty evenly matched, kind of thing. The Cardinals ran away with the division last year, 96-72. Pirates were 88-74. Brewers 82-80. And then the Reds were 76-86, and then the Cubs, like I said, were last at 73-89. So they were only a few games back of the Reds. Only like 9 games back of the Brewers. So I mean, the Cardinals ran away with it. The Pirates obviously are also made the playoffs as well. Those are the two teams in the division made the playoffs there. So they do have teams who can compete and tough teams in the division, but there's not one team that I feel is like a guaranteed before the season even starts. They've got this locked up, kind of thing. I feel all 5 of those teams have a shot at winning the division in the 2015 season. So hopefully the Cubs can do that. The Cubs play as well at Wrigley Field, which is one baseball stadium that I've never had the opportunity to go to, but it's been around for over 100 years now, and is arguably one of the most beautiful baseball stadiums and baseball fields to ever go to. I think for baseball fans, the big ones that you always want to get to is Fenway Park where the Red Sox play, Wrigley Field obviously where the Cubs are playing. Those are the top two, I would say, in my opinion, of baseball fields that if you've never had the opportunity to go to, get to them. So although the Cubs might not be the most exciting team to watch because they've struggled for a lot of years, their venue that they play in is like I said, in my opinion, one of the top two in the league, purely with the history that it brings, and it's just a different atmosphere. You don't see too many stadiums that are still around after 100 years that teams are still playing in. And the reason that I think baseball stadiums are neat to go to and check out and go to different ones. I have a group of friends back home who go on a trip every year called the Man Trip, where they go to 4 or 5 different baseball stadiums. So hopefully Josh Rowland, if you're watching this, I'll give you a little shout out there. Where they go to different baseball stadiums, and I think that's a great opportunity for people to do and check out because baseball stadiums have their own feel to them, their own look to them. All hockey arenas kind of look the same. And same with basketball courts because a lot of basketball teams also play in hockey arenas, kind of thing. So an arena is an arena, I would arguably say, whereas a baseball field has its own little quirks and its own little atmospheres and dynamics to it that make them special in their own unique ways. So that's why I would suggest definitely going and checking out Wrigley Field. Just even if you're not a Cubs fan, just for the opportunity to see Wrigley Field, since it's been around for so long and has a lot of history attached to it. Moving on to the players for the Cubs, like I said, they made some great off-season acquisitions. The biggest one, I think, the biggest splash, arguably the biggest splash in the whole MLB offseason for signing free agents was Jon Lester, left-handed pitcher. Big pitcher to have there. The AC roster now. I think he'll easily step in as the number one, maybe the number two guy, but I think he's the number one guy. He's got a career 3.58 ERA, earned run average. So he's giving up less than 4 runs a game career. If you were to average out his career, he's giving up less than 4 runs a game. He's got a 116 and 67 career record. So hopefully this season he'll get to 130 wins, 14 wins. I think he has the lineup that can get him the run support to get 14 wins in a season. I think he'll at least get to 125 wins in his career. I think 9 wins won't be a problem for him at all. I'm thinking 130 is also doable with 14 wins on the year, so that'd be good for him. He also has 1,457 career strikeouts, so just 43 strikeouts will give him 1,500 on his career, which would be really cool for him to get to. So 43 strikeouts. Let's say he does 8 a game, kind of thing. So that's 5.5 starts in. So he'll get to that by June. Is what I would say. Is he'll probably get to that 1,500 career strikeout milestone, which would be really 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 cool to keep an eye out for. They also signed Jason Hamill, right-handed pitcher. Last season he had a 2.98 ERA, went 8-5, pitched over 100 innings and had over 100 strikeouts. Another good arm to have in there. Another pitcher they got, Jason Mott, another right-handed pitcher. In 2012 with the Cardinals, he had a 2.75 ERA and over 40 saves. So that's a nice guy to have there for sure in your lineup, as a guy who can be a good bullpen guy, can be a closer if you need somebody to step in as a closer. You already have Hector Rondon as your team, who last year had 29 saves, so he was your closer last year. He had a 2.42 ERA, 63 inning picks, 63.1 innings pitched, 63 strikeouts. So that's a strikeout an inning, so he's a good closer to have. So whether that means Jason Mott can step in as your seventh or eighth inning guy and you leave Rondon as the closer, or if Rondon doesn't start off the season very well, then Jason Mott can step into a closer role. It's never a problem for an MLB team to have 2 or 3 guys who have been closers during their career, because like I said, some pitchers have rough starts. Okay, well now we got somebody who has closer experience. We can put him in the ninth inning in those tough situations, because you only put closers in usually when there's save opportunities, and the save opportunities only occur in close games. So you might only be up 5-3 in the ninth inning, kind of thing, and now you need to lock this down and get the win. So that's when your closer goes in. So your closer is going in high pressure situations. So sometimes the closers, have some rough outings, and those are games that you need to win, especially when it could come down to the season where there's only a 4 or 5 game win difference with you making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. If your closer goes out and he loses 2 or 3 closing opportunities, because he just doesn't shut the door, well, you can't keep giving your closer another shot, because those are the wins you need to be getting. So that's when you can have somebody else step in. So again, Rondon doesn't start off well. You got Jason Mott that can step in, kind of thing. So most teams you will see now have guys who their 7th or 8th inning guy could easily become a closer. And the closer, if they have rough opportunities or rough outings, you don't just shut the door on them and don't put them into any games, but now maybe they become your 7th or 8th inning guy, just get their confidence back up. And sometimes you also see teams who, if a closer hasn't pitched a lot recently because they haven't had close games for the closer to get the save opportunity, or for a couple games the closer lost the opportunity to get the close and didn't get the save, and didn't shut the door, and they're up like 8-2 or something in the ninth, so it's not a save opportunity. They got a ridiculous lead. They might just put the closer in just to get him some activity, get him some time on the mound, and also just to build his confidence up, because if a closer is going to be giving him 6+ runs in a loss, then he shouldn't be your closer at all anymore. So it's good to just sometimes get a closer into that opportunity as well. If, like I said, they've gone a few days without pitching, or they've had a couple rough outings, that's a good opportunity to also get a closer in there as well. Looking at your catcher situation, they signed 2 catchers this offseason. Miguel Montero, who they didn't sign but acquired with a trade. So I'm also going to talk about players they got in trades as well, not just in free agency. So Miguel Montero they got through a trade. David Ross they signed through free agency. Now David Ross turns 38 in a couple weeks, so he's not somebody that's going to be playing an everyday game for you. He might just be a good extra bat to have in your lineup, especially when you're playing in the National League as a pinch hitter kind of thing. A veteran guy that young catchers can learn from for sure. But signing Miguel Montero obviously was with a trade with Arizona. Last year he batted .243, 13 home runs, 72 RBIs, and 23 doubles. So that's another good stat there to have, guys getting to second base. Singles are great. Getting guys on base is awesome, but if you can get a guy into scoring opportunity at second base without having to sacrifice bunt them over, sacrifice fly, or just ground out to give up an out to get a guy to second base to get him to scoring position, better that they're just right off the bat. They're at scoring position on second base with a double. So that's another good guy they've acquired through trade. They acquired center fielder Dexter Fowler as well in a trade with Houston. So last year he had a 276 average with 8 home runs, 35 RBIs, and 21 doubles. So they're through trades you've acquired 2 guys who had 20-plus double seasons, so that's really good. And Dexter Fowler also had 11 stolen bases, so he gives you a little speed on the base paths as well, so it's a good guy to acquire. Looking at guys who they've retained from last year and who are still on the team, like I said, with Hector Rondon as the one pitcher they've retained. Jake Arrieta, who I think will be their number 2 guy. Last year he had a 2.53 ERA, 10-win season, 167 strikeouts, and 156.2 innings pitched. So his 29th birthday is just at the end of this week, so shout out happy birthday to him. Happy birthday to Jake Arrieta at the end of the week. He turns 29th on March 6th. So he'll be a good pitcher behind John Lester. Has a nice 1-2 punch, I think, right there. Then you also have Travis Wood as another pitcher you've retained. He had a 5.03 ERA, so a little inflated ERA, but he pitched 173.2 innings, 8-13 record, and he also had 146 strikeouts. So those are 2 guys that you can continue to build around with Lester, Arrieta, Travis Wood, Jason Hamill. You got guys who have been in the league for a little while who can produce, and hopefully a lineup behind them can get them some run support and they can get some more wins. Anthony Rizzo, their first baseman, is I think the cornerstone of their offense and a guy they can build around for years to come. Last season he had a 286 average, 32 home runs, 78 RBIs. So that's a great first baseman to have, a guy you can build around. They also have Starlin Castro, who had a 292 average last year and had 33 doubles. So again, like I said before, getting a guy on second base right away just in scoring position is really, really good. And he had 33 doubles last season, so that's awesome. He also had 14 home runs and 65 RBIs, so he's another guy that can produce. So you've retained some players that can be good cornerstones. You acquired some great pitching through free agency, some veteran catchers through trades and also free agency. Picked up some speed in center fielder with Dexter Fowler with their trade with Houston. So they've acquired some assets and retained some players that I think can help them become more competitive in the NL Central. I think Joe Maddon is a great manager to have, coming from a team who struggled for a lot of years and then turned it around. I think Theo Epstein, who was also the general manager of the Red Sox for years, now coming in. Obviously, great baseball knowledge there. So I don't see the Cubs, turning around in one season and having a 90-plus win season right off the bat. But last year they went 73 and 89. I think this year they'll have an 80-plus win season. So again, they're not going to turn around in one season, but they're going to continue to produce, continue to improve, continue to get players through free agency next season and retain the players and see what they can do with trades and that kind of thing. You never know what veteran players teams might cut who still feel they got something in the tank that the Cubs can go and get through while spring training is happening. There could be some surprises in the Cubs spring training who blossom and become great players in the MLB in the 2015 season. So good luck to the Cubs this upcoming year. I do think they'll improve. I do think they'll get better. Like I said, last year's 73-89 record. Thinking this year they'll have maybe a 80, 83, 82 record or something along those lines. I think they'll at least have 5 more wins. So good luck to the Cubs this upcoming season, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow with the other Chicago baseball team, the White Sox. Bye.